The largest banks in the world did not pop up overnight.
Nope.
Neither will yours. There are a few things that you need to know before starting your system. By the end of this video, you'll know 5 steps that you need to take before starting your banking system. My name is Darius.
And I'm Carmen.
Now let's jump right into the video.
Okay, so the very first point that we want to cover today is beginning with the end in mind. And it is crucial that you do not skip this step. And the reason being is because we want you to have clarity on what is the end goal that you are trying to accomplish financially, regardless if it's legacy or investments or cash flow, whatever it is. What do you want at the end of the day? And then work backwards to create a plan that will allow you to hit those goals. So it's very, very important that you take a moment and again get clarity on what it is that you want to do financially. So when we talk about creating a plan, the point is for you to put yourself in the best position to create your own banking system. Because at the end of the day, the banks are the ones who have all of the money. So why not duplicate what it is that they do and do it just within our own constraints and in our own household? So what do the banks do in the first place?
Well, the banks own our mortgages. Every time we make a payment for our house note, we're making a payment to the bank.
Yes.
They own our car notes.
Yes.
If we don't buy our cars outright, then we're paying a car note to the bank. And it's the same thing with our credit cards, with our business loans, when it comes to financing our education. Anything that we don't pay for outright, we have to finance it through a bank. And when we do that, using the bank as a go-between, we pay them interest.
Yes. So long story short, the banks own our debt because as consumers we can't afford a lot of these things, education, cars, houses, and whatnot. So what do? We knock on the bank's door and say, hey, give me a loan. So with the banks being in the business of lending and owning debt, we need to position ourselves in the exact same way. But in order to create your own banking system, we first have to get out of debt for ourselves so that we can reposition ourselves to level up like the banks. So we would say in the plan that you are creating, make sure that getting out of debt, if you currently have debt, is step number 1.
And the next step in your journey, once you get out of debt yourself, you want to start owning someone else's debt. And what I mean by that is investing. Because let's think about the position you were in before. You were paying your mortgage to the bank. You were paying your car note to the bank. Now, because you're now an expert at being a payer, you can reposition yourself as the payee. So for example, you can finance cars and have other people pay you the interest that they would have paid to a bank. And you can do that through creating a banking system and creating a plan that incorporates these things that you want to get accomplished. Now, positioning yourself as the payee, you're now owning someone else's debt just like the banks. And that's the whole purpose of creating your plan, to get you on that journey to start owning someone else's debt, because now that's putting money into your pocket.
Now, when we talk about owning someone else's debt, let's just simplify things. Think about all of the expenses that you pay, that you know your family pays, and that your friends pay. And let's just use an example of a car, because we typically all own cars. Everyone either gets a car loan or pays the car outright cash. So for the individuals that you know are getting car loans, if you are starting to position yourself as the payee, guess what? You can then offer an opportunity for that individual to get a loan from you instead of the bank, because now they can pay you because maybe your rates are more reasonable than what the bank would have charged you. Now remember, the banks only lend money when they have collateral. So we're not just willy-nilly giving people money, we're structuring ourselves the exact same way the banks do. In this case, what would be the collateral? The car. Although you think you may own your car, until you pay it off, that's when you get your title. So you can get the money every single month, principal and interest, just like the banks. And the whole point of us just sharing this example is so that you can just get the conceptual thought of what we're talking about when we say own someone else's debt. Because the banks own your debt, why not do the same thing just on your own scale? And now you have created an investing business for yourself just by financing other people's lifestyles.
Now that you have a plan, step number 2 is make sure you have something in place to track your progress through your plan. And something that Carmen and we utilize is mint.com. This is a budgeting app that allows us to know exactly where every single dollar we're spending is going to and where it's coming from.
And the huge point about tracking your progress is because how are you going to become the bank if your finances are a hot mess? So you need to have some sort of tools or resources in place so that you can make sure that you're tracking all of your spending. Now, Mint is something that we use. This is not a sponsored video. We just want to share this with you because we really enjoy the tool.
Right. Now let's think about that, what Carmen just said. The banks are able to track how much money you have in your bank account to the exact moment.
Isn't that convenient?
Right?
Online banking, so convenient.
Exactly, and they know exactly how much money that you owe on your mortgage. They know exactly how much money you owe on your car notes. So we need to do the exact same thing by monitoring exactly how much money we are spending on a monthly or even daily basis so that we can start positioning ourselves just like a bank and start executing our plan just like them.
Now, this is perspective, ladies and gentlemen, because if you're tracking your plan, you will be able to see where you are irresponsibly spending money. And now that you know that maybe you're wasting $500 or $1,000 a month on BS, you can use that to then start creating a lending business where you can have collateral for the things that you're lending on. So now that you have created your plan and you have a tracking system in place, the third thing that we need to make sure that you hone in on is paying yourself first. Because every single dollar that you pay yourself first or save, you set aside, that is money that can be allocated for your banking system.
Now, according to your plan and how you're managing your system, this number is going to be different for everyone.
Yes.
The idea is to just get started where you are right now and build up. Because what you need to have before creating your banking system is a habit. And paying yourself first is a habit that every single person needs to have in order to be successful.
And this is something that the wealthy do. This is a habit that every single person needs to take on themselves. Because as we talk about all the time on our channel, if you are the one working so hard, why aren't you paying yourself for the time that you are spending? Creating good financial habits are going to propel your plan.
Comment below if you're already implementing these strategies in your day-to-day lives. And if you're struggling with implementing these things, then what part are you struggling with the most?
And if you want to continue to level up so that you can create your own banking system, be sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And in our next video, we're going to talk about how to create passive income. So make sure that you hit the notification bell so that you're notified when we post new videos.
And the fourth step in creating your banking system is to make sure you have about 6 months set aside to protect you as you're moving money.
Because think about the banks. They have pools of money that they can dip into any time of the day, anywhere around the world, because of the leverage that they have. So in order to create this banking system, remember, we need to look at the banks and figure out exactly what it is that they're doing. So in order to be a smart banker, you need to make sure that you have funds set aside for your banking business. And the last point that we want to make is with the whole banking system, as you guys know who follow us on the Wealth Nation channel, is getting a whole life insurance policy designed with maximum cash value. Now, why in the world would we even recommend doing this in the first place? Well, you need a place to stack your cash that will earn a guaranteed compounded interest rate so that you can continue to move money and let your money work for you as you increase your banking efforts. Now, the whole life insurance policy is a double whammy because you can stack cash in the policy and it provides a death benefit for your family should something happen to you.
Now again, going along with the theme of this video, it's because the banks are the largest purchasers of whole life insurance. So we again are mirroring exactly what the banks are doing on our own scale.
And with a whole life insurance policy, the beauty about this policy is that anytime you pay your premium, you can borrow money from the policy without it affecting the growth in the policy. So this is a game changer because think about putting your money in a savings account. Every time you take your money out of a savings account, it affects the growth because the money is no longer there. This is not the case with an insurance policy because in fact, it acts as your own personal line of credit. So check out this video where we talk about how policy loans are like lines of credit. And now you have even more leverage to help you propel your banking system.
Now, how cool is this? We just gave you the blueprint on how to create your own banking system. So the 5 steps are creating a plan. The second step is monitoring your progress as you execute this plan.
Yep.
3, you need to pay yourself first. This is so important that you have a foundation and a habit of paying yourself first. 4th, you need to make sure that you set money aside as you go through your journey. And 5th, use a whole life insurance policy just like the banks.
Now, if you want to create your own banking system just like the banks, then click on the link below to become our client so we can guide you through all of these steps in executing your banking system.
And if you like this video today, make sure you like it, share it, and subscribe. And remember, own your own lifestyle.
Or the banks will.